Picture this. It's 7:15 in the morning in a quiet suburban neighborhood just outside of Chicago. The sun is barely peeking through the blinds, but inside your house, it feels like a Category 5 hurricane. You've already asked your 6-year-old to put on their shoes 3 times. You've asked them to finish their Cheerios 4 times. And now you're looking at the clock, thinking about the traffic on the I-90 and that 8:30 meeting you absolutely cannot miss. Your heart starts to race, your face gets hot, and before you even realize what's happening, you find yourself standing in the middle of the kitchen, lungs full of air, screaming at the top of your lungs, "Put your shoes on right now, or we are not going to the park this weekend." The house goes silent. Your child freezes, their bottom lip starts to tremble, and suddenly you feel like the worst person in the world. Welcome to the club. We've all been there. Today we're talking about why your kid won't listen, why yelling is actually making the problem worse, and most importantly, what you can do instead to regain control without losing your cool. Have you ever wondered why, as intelligent, functioning adults, we resort to shouting at a tiny human who weighs 40 pounds? It's because of something called the Parental Reptile Brain. When our children defy us, our brains don't see a kid who's just distracted by a Lego set. Our brains see a threat to our authority, our schedule, and our sanity. Our amygdala, that's the part of the brain responsible for the fight or flight response, kicks into high gear. We aren't parenting anymore, we are surviving. But here is the hard truth. When you yell, your child's brain also goes into survival mode. Their learning brain, the prefrontal cortex, completely shuts down. They aren't thinking, "Oh, my parent is right, I should be more efficient with my morning routine." No, they are thinking, "I am in danger." They stop listening because their brain literally loses the capacity to process language and logic. They are just waiting for the noise to stop. Let's look at a real-world example from a family in Los Angeles I worked with recently. Sarah, a high-powered attorney, was locked in a nightly battle with her 4-year-old son Leo over bath time. Every night ended in a screaming match. Sarah would yell, Leo would kick the floor, and eventually he'd be dragged to the tub in tears. Sarah felt like she was failing. We tried a different approach. Instead of shouting from the hallway, which is what I call remote control parenting, I told her to go into the room, get down on his level, and touch his shoulder. This is connection before correction. She stopped shouting, "Bath time!" from the kitchen. Instead, she sat on the rug next to his blocks for 60 seconds. She looked at his tower and said, "Wow, that's a tall building, Leo." He looked up, smiled, and the tension vanished. Then she whispered, "In 2 minutes, it's time for the bubbles." By the time those 2 minutes were up, he walked to the bathroom himself. No yelling, no tears, just 60 seconds of connection. The second thing you need to understand is the power of the whisper technique. It sounds counterintuitive, right? If they aren't listening when you're loud, why would they listen when you're quiet? But think about it. When you yell, you become background noise. You're the siren on a New York City street. Loud, annoying, but eventually ignored. But when you lower your voice to a whisper, you force the child to lean in. You break the script. I remember a story about a dad in Brooklyn named Marcus. His daughter would constantly jump on the sofa despite being told 1,000 times to stop. One day, instead of his usual, "Get off the couch," Marcus walked over, leaned into her ear, and whispered, "I have a secret mission for someone who can stand on the floor." His daughter stopped immediately. Her eyes went wide with curiosity, and she hopped down to hear the mission, which was just helping him get the mail. You see, you're not fighting for volume, you're fighting for attention. Now, let's talk about natural consequences. This is the hardest part for us American parents because we want to protect our kids from everything. We yell because we're afraid of the outcome. We yell, "Put your coat on," because we don't want them to get a cold. But what if we just let them be cold? Imagine a family in a chilly Seattle winter. The mom, Jennifer, was exhausted from the daily coat battle with her 8-year-old. She finally decided to stop yelling. One morning, she said calmly, "I'm putting your coat in your backpack in case you get cold at recess." The boy refused to wear it. He went to school in a t-shirt. He came home shivering and miserable. Did Jennifer say, "I told you so"? No. She just gave him a warm cocoa and said, "Yeah, it was really cold today, wasn't it?" Guess what happened the next morning? He reached for his coat without a single word from her. The cold was a better teacher than her yelling ever was. You might be thinking, that's great for coats, but what about the big stuff, like hitting or being rude? This is where we use the when-then phrasing. This is a game changer. Instead of saying, "Stop hitting your brother" or "No iPad," which is a threat, you frame it as a choice. You say, "When you can use gentle hands, then we can have iPad time." It shifts the power back to the child. It's not you being the bad guy or the shouter. It's the child making a choice about their own rewards. Think about a busy Target in Houston. You've seen that parent, maybe you are that parent, whose child is losing it in the toy aisle. Instead of the "stop crying or we're leaving" yell, try the calm delivery. When you have a calm body, then we can talk about which sticker book you want. It gives them a path back to success rather than a dead end of shame. I want to tell you a story about a mom named Elena from Miami. Elena grew up in a household where yelling was the primary language. She thought that's just how parenting worked. She came to me because her 10-year-old daughter was starting to yell back at her, and the house felt like a war zone. We did an exercise where Elena had to track every time she felt the urge to yell. She realized it wasn't about her daughter's behavior. It was about her own stress. She was yelling because she was overwhelmed by her job, the laundry, and the dishes. We implemented the pause and breathe rule. Before she spoke to her daughter about a mess, she had to take 3 deep breaths. Just 3. It sounds simple, but it changes the chemistry of your brain. It pulls you out of that reptile brain and back into your parent brain. Elena told me that after just 1 week, the entire energy of her home shifted. Her daughter stopped being defensive because she no longer felt attacked. Let's get into some specific scripts you can use today. Instead of yelling, "Clean up this room," try saying, "Do you want to pick up the Legos first or the stuffed animals?" This gives the child a sense of autonomy. In the American culture, we value independence, and kids are no different. They want to feel like they have a say in their lives. Another great one? Instead of "hurry up," try, "The timer says we have 5 minutes until the bus game starts." Make it a challenge. Kids in places like Dallas or Phoenix, where life is fast-paced, often feel pushed around by our schedules. Turning a transition into a game or a choice reduces the friction that leads to yelling. I also want to address the parental guilt. If you've been a yeller, you probably feel a lot of shame. You might think you've ruined your relationship with your kids. I'm here to tell you that you haven't. The human brain is incredibly resilient, and so is the parent-child bond. The key is repair. If you lose your cool, and you will because you're human, go to your child afterward. Get down on their level. Say, "I am so sorry I yelled. My feelings were very big and I didn't handle them well. That wasn't your fault." This does 2 things. It models emotional intelligence, and it shows them that even adults make mistakes and take responsibility. This is more powerful than never yelling at all. It teaches them how to apologize and how to heal a relationship. Let's recap the strategy for the next time you feel that heat rising in your chest. Step 1. Pause. Take those 3 breaths. Step 2. Get physically close. No more shouting from the other room. Step 3. Connect. Acknowledge what they are doing before you tell them to stop. Step 4. Give a choice or a when-then statement. And Step 5. If it all goes south, use a natural consequence instead of an angry threat. Imagine a world where your home isn't a place of shouting, but a place of cooperation. It's not a fairy tale, it's a skill. And like any skill, whether it's playing the piano or learning a new language, it takes practice. You're going to have good days and bad days. But every time you choose a whisper over a shout, you're building a bridge to your child instead of a wall. Remember, Your child isn't giving you a hard time. They are having a hard time. They are still learning how to navigate this big, loud world. When you stay calm, you become their anchor. You become the person they can turn to when their own world feels chaotic. Whether you're in a high-rise in Manhattan or a farmhouse in Kansas, the language of connection is universal. It's more effective than any shout, and it lasts much longer. So, the next time the shoes aren't on and the clock is ticking, take a breath, lean in, and try something different. You've got this. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Go out there, be patient with yourself, and let's turn down the volume and turn up the love. See you next time.